We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, most times we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by...
Is that your cat?
Lucy.
Lucy's taking over this episode.
So in case
Cosmo Mom. Hi, I'm Cosmo Mom 09. That was timing.
Not Aunt Bridget.
Bridget. You can find me at youtube.com/@punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. And I just hit my mic. I'm so sorry.
And Karina, you can find me on Instagram at CARINAE_D and Etta Karina Art on everything else.
Our resident gaming guru, geek.
Hopefully.
Emphatically and provenly. And as always with The Last of Us Season 2, we're here with you live, obviously, because then all of this stuff would have been edited out by the edit Nazi, Dave. I am very happy to see, first of all, Francisco, because, listen, you got to go with the regulars first. But second of all, I was really happy to hear that Neo is the One is on here, too. Our favorite commenter from when we were talking about Dark Winds. And he had promised that he would come here during one of our live streams, and I think he's followed through with it. And I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. And speaking of here, if you want this kind of chaos on the regular, when we're talking about other shows, you can always head on over to our Ko-fi and Patreon pages and just follow us. It's free. Attending our recording sessions, studios are free as well. When you follow, you'll be updated to our schedules, our logistics, when we're going to record. You'll get notified. It's a happy day for everybody. You'll be in there in the studio. Francisco can attest to the even more chaos, because right now, we're trying to be on our best behavior because we're live. When we're recording in the studio, there are objectively things that I just recently told somebody else that I can literally be canceled for. Okay? Literally canceled 100%. Bridget, why are you making that face? You know it's true. There are things I've said, oh, we can't say that. And then I debate. Should I put it in the episode? Should I not put it in the episode? I did put Columbia necktie in the episode when we were talking about that.
Spank
in
his
Dark
bottom
Winds.
and call him Bill O'Reilly.
Ty comes in. Ty comes out. We're doing it live. All right. Well, and yeah, we are here live. And I'm happy to see all of you. And as always, first we do some housekeeping before we go on to the title of this episode, starting with Rachel. First bit of housekeeping is actually Lauren Cohan and Jeffrey Dean Morgan as part of their promotional tour. We talked about this a lot in the last few weeks. Part of the reason why they came to New York is a lot of things. They threw the first pitch at Citi Field for a Mets game. They did a whole bunch of things we talked about in the last episode. The episode before last, I think it was, of The Last of Us. And we included some pictures and videos on Spotify, including Bridget's rally towel, which she'll probably pull out now just because I said it.
No.
And okay.
I won't, because you said that.
Well,
I won't.
One of those things was their appearance on Hot Ones Versus. And Hot Ones Versus is, yes, it's the hot chicken wing show, typically with Sean Evans, but Hot Ones Versus is basically Lauren Cohan and Jeffrey D. Morgan face off in a truth or dare style challenge. I actually got to see it today, and it is precious. You'd think it'd be
pretty funny.
It's not even, there's no competition. You'd think there would be just because they're characters. No, it is endearing and lovely and wholesome, and I highly encourage everybody watch it. I'm sure the unedited version of that was way longer because you can tell they just kept going on and on with the questions. Just like Lucy hacking up that
Sounds like
fur
a
ball.
duck. Just quacking her little heart out.
Yeah. And you can get that at Hot Ones' YouTube channel, at First We Feast. It's a great channel to follow anyway. They have a bunch of reels from that episode, but also this video, obviously, which is great. Second bit of housekeeping is, I think, Bridget, you wanted to bring up some sadder news. in the Walking
I
Dead
do have
universe.
sadder news. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up, but I will. Okay, so Samuel French, he played Ben in season 6, episode 2 of Fear the Walking Dead, entitled "Welcome to the Club." Passed away. There was a Variety article that was released yesterday evening. It was published at 5:34 p.m., so May 12th, 2025, entitled "Samuel French, Killers of the Flower Moon Actor Dies at 45," written by Lauren Coates. Samuel French, a Texan actor known for his role as undercover FBI agent C.J. Robinson in Killers of the Flower Moon, died this morning, so yesterday morning, in Waco, Texas, following a years-long battle with cancer. He was 45. Born on January 26, 1980, French's family moved to Clifton, Texas when he was 3. He graduated from high school there before moving to Austin and eventually Dallas, landing early acting credits on series like Texas Rising and Fear the Walking Dead as Ben, as well as film roles like Pegasus, Pony with a Broken Wing, The Pro Bono Watchman, and a role on the 2024 crime thriller Blood Dried Hands. French's final performance will be as Detective Bernard Crook in the crime drama slash thriller Towpath, written and directed by Paul Sinecor. Samuel was a dear friend and an incredible actor, Sinecor said in a statement posted to Instagram. Together, we were on an extraordinary journey, giving everything we had to realize a shared creative vision. Towpath wouldn't exist without him, and the incredible intensity he brought to the role of Detective Bernard Crook set the tone for the entire film. Samuel carried a fire for acting that burned in every frame, unfiltered, fearless, and alive. He gave himself completely to the work, and it showed. I am deeply saddened by his loss and only wish he could have seen the final cut. He was one of a kind, and he will remain in our hearts forever. My heart goes out to his family and especially to his daughter. He loved her deeply and spoke of her often with pride and tenderness.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
If you remember the episode on Fear the Walking Dead, this was the one with Victor
I
going.
can read the little synopsis if you want.
Well, Victor going to the molasses factory and finding out that it was just a test from Ginny, and there's that scene with Alexa Nisenson, aka Charlie, in the episode where she gets pulled by the hair and she falls into the Walker pit, and they get them in the end, and the stabbing in the knee of Sanjay, if you remember. And this is how I literally recently brought this up about the 5 senses of walkers versus the 5 senses of humans and which one's stronger. And the scent of blood, we find out from that episode, is the strongest scent, the strongest sense, which is the one you lose when you get older first. Anyway, yeah, it's some tragic news, though. But moving along, there's another thing that you'd found, Bridget. But before I continue, I don't know if you've noticed, and then for those of you on the audio podcast, you will not be able to see this unless you are on Spotify. But I am wearing the Last of Squawks t-shirt, currently on air. Hello. It is not the redesign. It's just a slight tweak to the design. If you were in the Discord, you got to see the difference between it. If you are watching, the Squawks is a little higher, and the wrong nipple. And the is a little higher to satisfy the Squawks.
What's up with your nipples?
Why are you staring at my nipples, Bridget? Also, enjoy the view. Shall I lift this higher?
No, stop! You're weirding me out, man.
I forgot. We're not in a recording studio where I can do things like this. Hey,
Hi,
thanks, Tim. Thanks for the shirt compliment. And if you want your own shirt, it's the Last of Squawks, head on over to our website, squawkingdead.com, click the main menu in the top left, and choose Buy Merch. You can also, if you're on YouTube, there is a link to our merch store in the description, and you get your own Last of Squawks. Why don't you? Before HBO and Naughty Dog takes it down. Just saying.
It's true. Cease and desist, sir.
It's not the first time it's happened.
I'm going to go ahead and read comments, Dave, instead, because I'm going to save the other thing I was going to talk about for Dead City coverage, because it seems more applicable there. So,
good point.
Yep. All right. Okay. So Francisco says, just to start. Here we go. Here we go.
You have the whole
Rent,
list.
rent incoming. You ready?
Francisco with your list.
I just want to say this episode is proof that HBO, Craig Mazin, and writing Ellie to not much like the video games. Not similar to her in the video games when Dina isn't with her. And when she isn't, you see more of Game Ellie. The whole problem this season
I like
has
that.
been how they have written Dina to be more like Ellie instead of backwards.
I like that too, though.
Those last 10 minutes where the Ellie people wanted the minute Joel was killed. Yeah, okay, I got you. So the last 10 minutes were what people who really big fan of the games wanted out of Ellie after Joel was killed. Not sure why they wrote it to be goofy or to say idiotic lines. She should be cold like the games.
I like the two-facedness.
I will disagree with you there. I will disagree. But we'll get into why.
I'm glad you said that, though. We'll dig into that. We'll dig into it.
It's a good thing to bring up. Neo said it might tie in with the next episode being flashbacks. And then Francisco said, let's go deep, baby. David and Cameo Cat. And then Neo said, Lucy with little puppy dog eyes. Oh. Francisco says, oh boy, in studio there's no swearing jar. And then thank you, Neo said that the towel is cool. Thank you, it is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for not allowing Dave to talk about it in the way that he does.
You made a choice, Bridget. I didn't say you couldn't. You just decided because I said you were going to that you weren't going to.
Yeah, you can't tell me.
Oppositional defiance disorder. I don't have it, Dave.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
But I thought because I said it, you would say, of course I have it.
No.
Anyway, go on.
Francisco says, I never thought I would see Negan and Maggie eating spicy wings together. Sounds diabolical. Lauren isn't good at hot ones. She eats the wings before even answering the questions.
100%. That happened once for one of the questions. Like, oh, I ate it before I didn't decide to answer the question. Smart move. It was a tasty one, actually.
Tim said, love the shirt. And then Negan says, what's up with your nipples? We are live, Bridget. I don't know if you remember.
That should be on a shirt.
What was it? 51st Dates. That's what it's from.
What's up with your nipples?
It's one of Rob Schneider's kids. And he's like, Adam Sandler gets hit in the head with a golf ball and he's laying down and the kid goes, what's up with your nipples? That's what I was trying to replicate.
Fair point. I haven't seen that since it came out in theaters, I think, which is
it's a good movie. I enjoy it.
Had to have been about 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, it came out a long time ago.
I saw it in theaters. Every now and again I bum myself out. Just wanted to say that out loud. Weird. Okay.
Well, when they keep talking about 28 years later and how that's coming out soon, I'm like, oh
yeah.
I saw the first one in theaters. Oh man.
Me too.
Oh man.
To be fair, you were smaller. You were a little.
I was underage.
Yeah.
I should not have been allowed in the theater. I was 13.
Were you?
Or no, 15. I was 15.
Okay. There was another bit of housekeeping I wanted to bring up that somebody brought to the table. I think it was in Discord or something else. And it was regarding something. Shoot, I said I would bring it up. I don't remember if it was for Dead City or not. I guess we're not gonna. But Bridget, we're gonna bring up that other thing in Dead City. I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I think it's a better choice.
Yeah. It's a higher education opportunity that was.
It's too Walking Dead centric to be like, let's bring it up during The Last of Us.
Well, as always, I think we'll move on to the title, but right, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, as always, what we like to do in the beginning, and this will be a great jumping off point for this episode. Sometimes they're stinkers, okay? But we like to start off with tying the title of the episode to what this episode ended up being. And how does the title of this episode, Rachel, correlate with this episode?
Well, there's the obvious thing, right? We saw it.
I don't know.
In the episode.
You tell me.
Yes, we did.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
David.
Not at all.
The mural? You're talking about the mural?
Written
What
over
mural?
top of...
I don't know anything until you tell me what it is.
Oh, this guy.
We saw a mural of a woman painted on the side of a building hovering over a plethora of dead scar bodies.
My
And it
favorite
said,
part.
feel her love.
My favorite part is right below that. It says, "Feel this, B."
I know.
I love that. I was
That
like,
was that was kind of
"Well
funny.
done, well done."
And it was
Yeah.
legible. I have to give people credit. It was very legible graffiti.
It was.
It's almost as if
Well,
a set
It was
artist
impressive.
painted that. It was,
It's yes,
almost
almost,
as if.
almost,
Weird.
almost.
almost. Thank you, Britt. Thank you, Rachel, for the obvious. But
The obvious
what
thing.
isn't obvious? I wonder.
I don't. I mean, if you ask me, most of it is kind of obvious. I don't know if there's a unobvious part of this title. There's the obvious love between Ellie and Dina, right? They say it. Like
They
she
say
finally
it
says it.
for the first time
That's
ish.
very obvious.
Okay.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know how to phrase it quite right, but because the title doesn't really, so well, that and Joel's not around, so Joel can't feel Ellie's love, but she's most definitely showing how much she loves and misses Joel this episode.
That was the one
David,
I was going to bring up.
I'm surprised uh, for our Dead City coverage. You got quite emotional when we were talking about Victor, but I'm more surprised you didn't get emotional over Ellie singing.
Well, it's not
'Cause it
really.
was, and I realized that was an episode that I missed. But like watching the episode, I was like, ooh, huh?
Were you talking about the Dead City one or the Last of Us last
No, The
episode we
Last of
covered?
Us when she's singing "Take on Me."
Yeah, she's talking about episode 4.
Yeah.
I didn't get emotional about that. I thought it was really super
was a
sweet. I was smiling.
Beautiful version.
I was
too.
smiling. I will admit that. I didn't really say that when we were talking about it. I was smiling throughout that. I was like, "This is so wholesome. This is so great." I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that, and she
It
was
was more
good.
of a choke up. There was more of a choke up moment this episode, right? When she tried to sing again and couldn't. She got the one line out and like felt the weight of it and couldn't even continue.
Yeah. Oh, we'll zero in on that. But I really want to go back to what you just
I
said.
just did.
No. There's more to say about that. It's in relation to the music itself.
Yeah, but we could just leave it there.
Or are you gonna? Oh, maybe she'll cry.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
she's the captain now.
All right.
No.
I don't cry. I'm a robot. From one robot to another. Liar. You got the patch like I did.
The emotional patch.
Yeah.
Ugh, so annoying.
Well, I mean,
Uninstall.
they tried to fix it, but still. I mean, it's uninstallable. Anyway, I like what you
that.
said about Ellie, because that's exactly what I was going to bring up. Ellie wanting Joel to feel her love and knowing that in many ways that's not going to happen. He's not here anymore to feel
Right.
her love. But maybe if she invokes their love language, which is violence, maybe she'll hear him somewhere out there somehow. Because I think because it goes back to what Tommy and Gail, that conversation that they had in the second episode. Yes, after Joel's loss. Or third episode, I'm sorry. And how Ellie, is she violent by nature? Or is she violent because she was, quote unquote, brought up by Joel, whatnot? And I think that pairs very well to that last scene and how this is her expression of love for Joel, is being able to do this. There is more to that. I'm not leaving it there, but when we get to that part, we'll go deeper into this because that second to last scene, that actually got me emotional in a different way. Oh, it's not about that at all. It was never about that. I literally was saying that in my inside voice. So anybody else for Feel Her Love? Well, and I think there's a comment by Francisco about Feel Her Love. But yeah, why don't you read the comments, Bridget? Because I've decided that I'm not going to be the lord over
Okay.
reading
Thank you.
things.
Francisco, I want to say I'm not even going to read the first part of this. I just want to say you never have to apologize. You never do. It's okay.
That's what this
I
show's all
promise
about.
you. I promise you. You never do. Ellie in this episode in those last 10 minutes was better than we have seen from her this season. I did see a lot of talk online about how Bella Ramsey's acting in the last 10 minutes was just really phenomenal. And people have stated, like, why aren't we getting this out of the other episodes? But We'll come back to it later. It's a really cool part of the writing actually on this that I'm excited about.
Can you flag that so we make sure we go back to that specifically?
I can't.
Oh.
I cannot. All I can do is report it or block it, and I don't want to do either of
Oh
those
no,
things.
I meant flag it in your notes
No, what notes?
to talk about. Oh,
What does he mean?
what does he mean by notes and writing?
I don't take notes on this show.
Lord, okay, I'll do it.
I just show
Can't
up.
do everything on this show.
Show up.
Show up.
I just show up.
Edit-
You're lucky I
Edit
watched
social
it.
media posts. What don't
Because
I
before
do?
I've shown up and
You
not
just
watched
show up and
something.
squawk
Just
and
pretended.
Wouldn't that be interesting if we just showed up and hadn't even watched the episode yet? What do you think this title means?
I have no idea. Why are you even asking me?
Pass.
You know what?
I want to
It'd
go
be
to
like-
bed.
It would be
I'm so
like some
tired.
other content creators. So it wouldn't be that different. Anyway, Eric Burt says most of 28 Days Later is just looks like a 90s music video, which is fair. It's the red
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it
yeah.
is. It's like new metal. You know
Honestly,
what I
I
mean?
haven't seen it in a while.
We were really into it.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, hi Eric.
Big spoon.
Francisco says, "Feel Her Love." It was obviously Ellie shutting that ish down on Nora. LOL. That was a gorgeous version of the song. And then Neo said, "Yeah, her take on me got me a little too. I was surprised Bella had a good voice. I can definitely hear her accent in her singing voice.
In this episode
I love it.
especially. Yeah.
I love it." And then Francisco says, "I'm gonna be a dad." That's a line I want to delete from my head. Bridget.
I loved it. But
I
see,
thought it was funny. But
I'm biased,
I
though.
get you don't want that level of like comedic relief in the moment. I understand.
I probably
I
should.
it was
preferred it
cute.
over the game version, which was calling Dina
Matt.
a burden.
Yeah,
She was
Calling
Matt.
you a what?
A
She
woman.
called Dina
burden.
a burden.
Oh,
Yeah.
a burden.
Yeah, it was horrible in the game. Yeah, it was
Oh,
very,
you weren't there
very
for
different.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, okay, so to
my
rewind,
gosh.
yes, in the game, when Dina reveals that she's pregnant, Ellie's quite upset about it, and, she asked her, why didn't you tell me? How long have you known? She said a couple of weeks, I think, and she's like, a couple of weeks we could have turned back, and she's like, well, I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to be a burden, and Ellie just blurts out, well, you're a burden now, aren't you? And then storms off, and then
Great change from the
proceeds to
show.
leave. Yeah, I really prefer the show. I don't care how corny it was.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So
Oh
Well,
my
see,
goodness.
this is
Hi,
like
Rob Matthews.
I think it's good. This is why I think it's really important to express our different vantage points, because some of us haven't played the game, some of us heard about beats from the game, and some of us have played. It's whatever. And so I think it's important to get the input from people who have played or not played the games, so that you can get, oh, this is how I should have felt about this scene. Case in point, we talked about a scene in Dead City where I got very, very emotional that you guys couldn't understand until I explained it. And then you were like, I hope when I watch it again, I can see what you saw. And that's basically what I try to do. What we try to angle towards on the show is to give you our reactions and thoughts and feelings on different scenes and all our different takes on it. And maybe you attach yourself to one, but saw that, oh, I didn't consider that for that idea or feeling towards that scene, and maybe I could have seen it that way. And I see what you're talking about now. But hey, Rob Matthews again. Sorry, I did cut you off, Bridget. Sorry about that. Any other feel her loves? It sounds really weird when you say that.
I hate that you say it like that.
Yeah. Do you want to feel her loves?
I do have one.
Glad I
It's
asked.
very brief. But this episode was aired on Mother's Day.
Oh yeah.
And there are two little things that are brought up during this that are kind of nods to that. One, there is a little Easter eggy Happy Mother's Day sign when they're in the a warehouse building, whatever that is. When they're in there, it pans like cubicles almost, like a line of like desks, and there's a little card that's hung up that says Happy Mother's Day. Someone caught that online and posted it on,
yeah, I missed it
I don't know,
entirely.
Reddit,
so-
That's
Reddit
great.
or Instagram or something.
Yeah.
So I loved that. But also, this happened on, this aired on Mother's Day, and we find out in the flashback scene that the best of the wolf troops is sealed in on B2 and B1 when they seal those in the basement levels due to the spores, which, surprise, we thought we were not getting spores ever. At psych.
Maybe they're gonna do it in a different way. Yeah, they did.
And here we are.
I cannot remember his name, but that is the woman who is telling the story to
Leon.
Hanrahan? Leon.
Han
Hanrahan.
Rahan.
Yeah.
Hanrahan O'Shaughnessy. Hanrahan hears this story from a woman. That is Leon's mother.
Yeah. Her
And-
name is Sergeant Elise Park.
So her love towards her son, she loved the community more because she sacrificed her son essentially for the safety of others, which
Or
is really
trusted
hard.
Him. I would say
Yeah.
trusted him enough because he's the one who told her to do that, and she
Yeah.
did it regardless of.
That's her.
So-
That's
what
his
she
gift to
would've
her.
wanted.
Yes.
Yeah,
So it's
like,
a
I'm
little
not gonna
Mother's
infect
Day.
y'all.
It's a little Mother's Day thing, but it does also feel her love, but also feel her love is the title, and it happens to air on Mother's Day.
Just to go back, because it's a small nugget, to the office building. It's the name of the on the outside is called Membronics. I looked it up, and I think it's an old website, but apparently I don't know if this is made for the show, this website, or the game. Sorry, probably more for the game. It's a website that's membronics.wordpress.com, so they obviously didn't buy the domain or they lost it. And it's what it's supposed to have been is because it has the same logos and typeface and everything. It's supposed to be a graphene-based app that works with your smartphone that can help you detect asthma flare-ups rather than going to the hospital. And I think that's funny because if we're talking about the episode with the spores,
Talking about
kinda
airborne.
the
Yep.
labored breathing and
Interesting.
everything.
Yeah.
So the like I said, the logo on the website and the logo on the show, and you get to see a little bit closer when they're next to the it looked like carpet, like blue carpet, but when they're ducking behind, they see the stalkers. You get to see the logo on these. It's not carpet; it's like a canister of some kind. But you get to see the logo up front. I'm like, what is this? Why did I find a website with this thing? And maybe it is made for the game. I don't know. But I thought that was a cool little nugget.
Yeah, I mean, playing through the game, you can see, to me, it's just background information, and I never thought to look into it because I just assumed, oh, this looks like a thing they made up for this game. I never would have thought to look for an actual website and see
Oh,
if they
I should
had
add.
any Easter eggs.
I should add. The website is very pared down, obviously, and I'll tell you why. You flip through the only 5 pages. There is a contact page. There's a main page explaining what the technology is about. You go to the, I think it's Who We Are, and they list a couple of random names and what they do. There's supposed to be a YouTube video. That YouTube video is no longer available. So, which leads me to believe maybe at one point there was an Easter egg
Oh,
from the
yeah,
games, and
very
so
possibly. Yeah.
there you go. And it's no longer there anymore. I wonder why though. It would have been great for like hits, for for
Yeah.
views and likes and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
How's it spelled, Dave? 'Cause
MEM?
I wanna- Okay,
Oh.
hold on. I
Oh.
want to see if it was re-uploaded by somebody else. Okay, MEM.
It's MEMBRONICS.
Okay, thanks.
A graphene-based device that pairs with your smartphone to detect asthma. Anyway, let me read what Rob Matthews is saying, because, hey, Rob Matthews, I do have to say it does break my heart to see the amount of hate comments Bella Ramsey gets. As a father, it's horrible. She's a great addition to the team. And I think to kind of pair also to what Francisco says about Bella, I do like that she does flip back and forth between these two personalities. Now it kind of makes sense when you get to the end of the episode. And a lot of what we're seeing now from the Ellie you like, I think brings me back to Game of Thrones and her character there. There's a little bit of intensity to it. And it's something that she's always been really, really good at is how intense she can be, even at a very, very young age, which I thought was really cool. Do you have anything, Bridget, or are you trying to look for the
There's
video?
nothing. There's nothing.
That's okay. Let me read Francisco's comment. The show wants to pacify how Ellie reacted to Dina because they probably want the characters to be more likable or goofy or corny. I don't think it's better. I think, if I may start with that, I think it's deliberate. And I think a lot of that you can see reflected in the songs that play in this episode, both by Pearl Jam. I say play-ish, but one Ellie is about to play and one that's at the end of this episode. The first one that she is about to play is Future Days in the theater. Named after the episode, obviously, but it's the actual song that she's about to play. And at the end, just to mention it now, we can dig deeper into that later because it will tie into a scene. It's present tense. So I love that Future Days present tense. And they both have a similar message, but we can get into that a little bit later. But I'm not dwelling on the past, essentially, everybody. So I think it's good to bring that up because there is a future for Ellie if she's just willing to grasp it, if she's just willing to let go of the past. But again, let's go back into other little things of the episode because I think after that little flashback is another little nugget for all the talk about not seeing Sick Habit in the rack of vinyl. You got to see it in the marquee when we get back to Seattle Day 2.
Sick Habit, yeah.
Yeah, Sick Habit. Let me tell you how pedantic
Sick Ha.
This is Bridget. We don't know, Dave. It might be Sick Ha.
We don't know that it's Habit.
They might be from Guangzhou, China. We don't know, Dave. We don't know. But I wanted to say, when it first came on, I immediately paused. And then, because you see it first in the reflection, like a puddle reflection. And I was like, oh, God, this is a nugget. They're not going to show this on the screen. So I better take it into my image program, flip it upside down so I can see it right side up, then flip it horizontally. Seconds later, not even, they show the full marquee. I'm like,
doing too much.
Why did I do that? And then I proceeded to do the same thing. Not the same thing, but like, let's learn our lessons. Like maybe before you start writing your notes, you just wait a little longer. Then you can go back and pause and write what you were going to say in case they do the thing later on. I'm learning, guys. It's been 7+ years since we started Squawking Dead, and I'm still learning techniques. Anyway, what did you think of that, Karina? Because I want to give you some runway to geek out about not just that, but Spores. But
well, yeah. Well, first of all, I will admit I did not notice that it was Sick Habit because what I did notice was that it was not what it was on the marquee in the game, which is a tragedy play called Cassandra. And I'm not sure if that's a real play or not. Again, I didn't research any of this. So all I did was notice, it's not Cassandra. And I just totally left my brain that is Sick Habit on there. And it should have been something that I registered, but just missed it entirely. So I think that's cool, though, that they added that in.
And they're living in Sick Habitville. Sick Ha. I mean, sorry, Bridget. Sick Ha. Another tiny little nugget is, again, we love dates, we love maps. September 5th. So it's kind of like in line with when the fall must have happened for them. Mm-hmm. Going back to the flashback, there's some deep nuggets. Can we go there? Are we okay with going there? I just want to go back to the flashback with Hanrahan and Sergeant Elise Park.
I want to mention one thing really quickly about Cassandra.
Oh.
Okay. Just really quickly.
Yeah.
Someone had thought that maybe the choice of the name, because I don't think it's an actual play, may have been a teaser about the next Uncharted game, because you were going to play as Nate's daughter, Cassie.
Oh, okay.
Cassandra.
Yeah. Cute.
So that's where people thought maybe that was from. Like maybe that was why that was the choice.
The reason why is not just because Naughty Dog makes both of these games, but because they have in-game Easter eggs that suggest that they exist in the same world.
Oh, yeah.
So
I heard this is like way back when season 1 came about. We're like,
oh, yeah.
Does it exist in the same universe? And I guess
it's supposed to.
Maybe.
I mean, yes, no, maybe. So you can find Uncharted and Jak and Daxter games in the game world because, there's PS3s everywhere. Of course, they're going to show all that.
Cool.
And you can find little objects, like you can find Nathan Drake's Sic Parvis Magnus or whatever ring that he wears around his neck. You can find it in a safety deposit box on day 1 when you're exploring with Dina. So it's just an Easter egg. It doesn't lead to anything else.
It doesn't mean anything else. It's just cool.
Yeah, I think people are using it as a connection, and I think also in
yeah, calm down, Dave.
I forget which Uncharted game it is, but there's a scene in a bar where you're like brawling, and there's a newspaper in the bar that suggests some kind of fungal outbreak that's happening, and so they're referencing The Last of Us as well. So
It's just athlete's foot.
they all have. I think they just like to
Well, it's just
add
fun.
those Easter eggs in
It's
there.
fun
I
little
don't know
ways to
that
tie in the other games.
Yeah, I don't know that it necessarily means that they're all in the same universe, because how sad would that be for the Uncharted world?
I
that
know,
it just
right?
devolves into The Last of Us.
What a bright future they have.
Exactly.
No more game
I
for
do-
Cassie.
As we just can't get off the topic of Greek mythology this week, as it
Ooh.
turns out, as a podcast.
It's one of my favorite
But the
things.
Cassandra metaphor, because this is like it's a reference to a Greek tragedy.
Mhm.
Cassandra metaphor, variously labeled the Cassandra syndrome, complex phenomenon, predicament, etc., relates to a person whose valid warnings or concerns are disbelieved by others. The term originates in Greek mythology. Cassandra was a daughter of Priam, the king of Troy. Struck by her beauty, Apollo provided her with the gift of prophecy, either on the condition that she agreed to accept his romantic advances or without prior agreement from Cassandra, depending on the source. But when Cassandra refuses Apollo's romantic advances, he placed a curse on her, ensuring that nobody would believe her prophetic warnings.
Wow.
Cassandra was left with the
Seems-
knowledge of future events, but could neither alter these events nor convince others of the validity of her predictions.
I wonder if that has something to do with the way Ellie moves through her life, because even if she told people she was immune, most people would not believe her. And she has no power. Her immunity gives her no power to save anyone or help anyone in any way, considering Joel has removed the one way that that could happen. So,
Whoop.
yeah, so I wonder if that maybe is drawing a parallel there.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's it exactly.
He didn't know. Dave didn't know it was going to get this
No.
good.
No, it did not. Like, look at Korea going deep. I'm out of a job.
My baby, she's all grown up.
And she said it all without wasting 2 minutes of our time. She's like, 30 seconds. That's the take. It's not quite Rachel, not quite Dave. You know what I mean? It's like, the dough's done. You know what I mean? A little Better Call Saul reference.
Dough's done.
Anyway.
Is this the real reason you don't want to do a game one with me? You threatened.
Yeah, he's
by
mad.
my
He's
deep
threatened.
takes?
Yes.
He's
Yes.
threatened by you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Rah.
He's threatened by your beauty and your intellectual prowess.
I will not confirm nor deny these accusations leveled at my feet, Bridget, which happens to have athlete's foot. Fungal outbreak. I don't know why I said that. That's fine.
You're a fungal outbreak.
Just wanted to tie it. I like a little callback. I don't know. Anyway.
Stay away from substrate, Dave.
No substrate for you. Anyway, don't use accents, Dave. I keep forgetting. Let's read some of the comments because a little debate's happening-ish.
Sure, yeah. Rob Matthews says, I do have to say, it does break my heart to
I
see
said
the
that
amount of
already.
hate comments Bella Ramsey gets. Oh, sorry.
Rob Matthews, 9:30.
Uh,
It's 9:30 here in Australia.
You
Just listening to you guys.
messed me up. You messed me up.
I didn't mess you up anything.
Okay.
Rob, are you in Gold Coast? Because I forget where the time zones go.
Bridget was right. That was the.
No, I
next-
read that already.
Well, I
don't
ignored
remember
you.
reading that.
Listen, you know how they say,
Apparently, I ignored you.
Men
also,
ignore
'cause I
women.
don't remember hearing it.
and I get fem-splained a lot by Karina. I don't know what I'm saying. It's fine. It's
sorry,
9:30
did you play
a.m.
this game or no?
Yeah. Won't you play the game, idiot? Okay. Anyway, all right. So, Rob, are you from the Gold Coast? I'm just curious because I think that's the easternmost part of Australia. I've been there. So I was like, oh, I love that city. But I'm taking a shot here.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm good at guesses, but go ahead.
Francisco says, at Rob Matthews, I think a lot of them generally dislike her casting and how she doesn't look like her, which you're not going to.
It's like casting
Sorry.
Sweeney to be
It's like-
Get
Kratos.
over it.
It's like casting Sweeney to be Kratos. It's strange, but she's not a bad actress. Her scripts for Ellie are just how they are, and the gamers probably don't like it. Rob says, it's chaotic. I've got 2 daughters, and I would be very upset to see if they were being bullied online for a role. I think Bella is doing great. That's all she can do. I'm glad she has a great support system behind her. As an actor myself, I would want Pedro Pascal or Isabella to write something in regards to the bullying, but we might not get that.
Mm.
And then he says, I'm in
Melbourne,
Dave.
Oh, okay. I've been there too. Okay, I have to sync my times. 14 hours ahead. Gotcha. Or yes, 14 hours ahead. Excellent. Victoria, Melbourne.
You didn't see it, but right behind him, a new clock appeared, set to your
It's
time
right
zone, Rob.
here. It's right here. It's a broken clock. It's right twice a day. It's literally, it's not running, but it's fine. I wanted to say something about that because I think, see, this is why I love Francisco. I sincerely love Francisco because sincerely, he's not afraid to make the take, but be really respectful about
Fair.
it. And I
Yeah.
will say, he's not wrong. I get that perspective. I haven't played the games, but I've seen images of the game. I know she doesn't look anything like Ellie at all. So I get that. I think to capitulate to Rob's sentiments, though, it is chaotic. And I would say there is a danger in lumping in the Franciscos, who I think is just completely rational. He may not have a way with words, or at least the English language, but he does do his best. And I think mixing people like Francisco in with some people, and listen, I'm on Facebook, I see the memes, and they're
Yeah, no, Francisco's
awful.
not cruel.
No.
Like, you're not cruel about it. You just have an opinion. It's okay.
Yeah.
He's saying, like, this is what other people feel about it. They probably don't like it. I get that. There are a lot of people who are being extremely vocal about it, but we've talked about this every episode. I was impressed with her acting this episode. I thought it was
Yeah,
really
I
phenomenal.
believe that.
I thought she did a great job. And I don't know. Do we go there now, Dave? Do we just talk about the difference in her, like, with Dina attitude and her not with Dina attitude?
Well, I was gonna just mention a couple of like little nuggets that you get in the flashback, and then we'll jump to that. How
Okay.
about that? Because I want to
Sounds
get
good.
it out of the way. But part of the flashback, you get the scene with. Oh, okay.
O'Shaughnessy.
What is Wong Baker faces? And then I realized, oh, it's the chart with the pain thresholds for children. It's that little sign that you see right when you get into the.
Oh, yeah.
So it's called the Wong Baker Faces Pain Rating Scale, and it's primarily for children. So again, like a little Happy Mother's Day ish thing going on here, and the 2 was circled, hurts a little bit. I thought that was kind of cute, but like we're in the zombie
Happy
apocalypse.
miserable Mother's Day, everyone.
Yeah, it
It's
hurts
like,
a-
it's
it
like
hurts a
so,
bit.
So sad.
There is a couple of things because we had talked a big game, or I had, because I'm the one who takes the hook shots. Now, I'm not off the Hanrahan being the leader of the, or not the leader, but the prophet of the Scars just yet. But it is clear from that flashback that she is in charge, not the leader, but in charge, because had Sergeant Elise Wong, been in trouble, Isaac would have been here to do it himself, is what Elise says, which implies, and maybe you can agree or disagree, that Isaac is the man of this outfit.
It seems so, and he is in the game. He's the leader of the WLF.
Okay.
So,
Well,
and I don't know how far back a flashback this is, because when Ellie comes across those bodies, you can see the guy's name tag, and it's her son, and he's not overly decomposed. I mean, he is covered over in fungus, and I don't know how fast cordyceps grows, but
his hair is pretty
I don't
long.
know that it was like 10 years or anything. You know what I mean? I feel like it was maybe within a few months that this might have occurred, because they're actively removing supplies from the hospital. That's why Nora's there, and they were doing that to begin with. They were clearing the floors, so they just gave up clearing the basement floors and just started removing things from the upper floors. So I don't know how far back a flashback this really is what I'm saying.
It's hard. I think the only reason, this is very dumb reasoning. Then again, nothing. It's not for nothing. The idea that when that scene happens is during the day, as opposed to, and you're right, we don't know when that happens, but it gives you the idea. Okay, if they're going at night and they're going to be there at night, during the day, you're thinking, okay, this could be. Your mind kind of goes to the place where, okay, it's probably further back. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but that's another nugget, because one of the things was they already had a conflict with the Seraphites. Mm-hmm. The truce was broken, and this is the whole reason why she's afraid of Isaac punishing her, because you don't kill one of your own until you find out the facts and you realize there's nothing to be helped. Because I think there's a concern that he's very, kind of like the Seraphites, there is a bit of retribution in that punishments are really extreme. So you see that with the Seraphites when they're gutting that one fella, which I think we might have to go back to because he looked familiar. But second, when it comes to Isaac, the implication with Isaac Dixon is that we don't kill our own. We're not like Fedra, like that kind of mentality probably. But there is a mirror between WLF and the Seraphites in that respect because the punishments are harsh. It's you got to go. You're done. So I like that. I like that the Seraphites existed. Now, it definitely means that she's not the leader. She's in her full regalia. And I only mention this because in going through the dialogue, when Hanrahan comes in, it feels like she's in charge. Mm-hmm. She comes in and you're like, damn, this woman. I was going to say something dumb. It's like, I want to go out on a date with her. I felt very, like attractive in that respect. I pulled back and then I didn't know what to say.
Naomi from Waiting.
He keeps talking about it though.
Sorry, say that again, Rachel.
I can't see anything other than Naomi from Waiting.
Which Stream on Max, that account actually compared them side by side from the prior episode when you first meet her.
Huh?
Her character in Waiting is reacting to her character in The Last of Us. They've done these clever
reacting.
Yeah, they've done these clever advertisement mashups between the actors in their various shows. And so
cute.
Yeah, so she's like
funny.
looking at a TV and waiting. I think it's Waiting. I'm not sure. And then she's seeing Hanrahan.
It's a movie with Ryan Reynolds and Justin Long.
Oh,
not Justin Long. Sorry, Jonathan Francis Daly.
Okay, but she's actually seeing. I don't think it's from that, but I know it's from a show. But she's watching it on a TV and she's seeing Hanrahan. She's reacting to that character on the show, and and they've been doing this with Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey. It's so clever.
It sounds hilarious.
So clever. They've been doing this for months. I'm just like, I want to find out more about the person that does their social media. Like, where do you get these ideas? Great.
No, as soon as I saw her on screen, I thought she was going to start cussing Isaac out.
Who's that? Oh, his voice. Oh,
What was that? That wasn't anyone. Who was that?
I don't know how to be a
Where
woman.
did that spirit just come from?
I don't know.
I don't know how to be a woman. He says.
I am what I am, Rachel.
Have you seen Waiting?
I'm just making
Wooding?
fun of everybody, I guess.
You are.
Putting on a costume.
My culture is not your costume, babe.
What
Anyway.
is happening?
Okay, that's really all I wanted to say. Just the little logistics of like where we are with our theories, where we are in time. I don't know. We're not clear, but I think we've established where these people are, and the when is really the key because there was no tag on where they were in time when they went to that. What would be? I don't know if it's obvious, but obvious flashback.
I couldn't tell if it was a flashback or not, so that's what makes me believe that it's not too far back. Like days, weeks, a month, maybe. I don't think it was years.
It would
I didn't
behoove
think
us.
It was a flashback.
Oh, okay. Well, it would behoove us to actually maybe go back to the graffiti and let's just ask the question: does it look like Hanrahan, not O'Shaughnessy?
Yes.
Okay. Because we see it for
Does
the
to
first
me.
time.
Does to me. You know why?
I didn't
Because
get
I
it.
want to be right, so I'm blind to anything else.
I'm right blind.
The only thing that makes me question it is Hanrahan mentions that she calls them scars. There were scars. I forget exactly what she says, but she says scars. So that implies the existence of them already marking their faces, which is something that they do in game, at least, to humble themselves or make themselves imperfect in her eyes, talking about the prophet. So I don't know if that changed at some point, if Hanrahan is the prophet, or if that means that she's not the prophet and the prophet's already there. Because the truce happens, I think, is broken. I don't know if it's broken before or after the prophet dies. I think it's after. So
I would say
I'm
after.
not sure.
If
Yeah,
well, I don't know.
it's after.
I don't know.
I know how the truce gets broken in the game, but it doesn't. I think it's after the prophet.
They may modify it because I can easily see a world in which Hanrahan pulls a Isaac Dixon, and she pulls out. She throws a bunch of grenades into a WLF truck, and she joins the Seraphites. Because
they did mention the one Seraphite mentions that. Sorry,
she's pulling a me. Like, oh, it's derogatory. It's derogatory.
Wait, that's the derogatory term. It's
It's very
shorter.
racist.
Um,
Ray, R-A-E-C-I-S-T.
the one that he's interrogating mentions that wolves join them all the time, so it's possible that Hanrahan joins them.
Great. Oh, that's such a great Chekhov's gun. I was about to say Kafka's gun, but could be.
It's so
Wow.
easy to say the wrong thing.
Damn.
I was just wondering, what if the prophet already exists in their lore, and Hanharan just
Assumes.
ends up like, what if she comes to them in a way that was prophesied to them that person would appear in this way, and so then they believe that she's the reincarnation of the prophet or whatever.
I mean, that's possible because the way they describe the prophet and the way she speaks to people, I could see Hanrahan being very influential in that way. As someone who's, she's described as very like unflappable in a way. Like she doesn't get emotional. It doesn't matter if they're keeping her prisoner at one point, like to keep the peace, basically keeping her away from her people but not hurting her, and she's completely unfazed by this. She just continues to speak her words of wisdom, and converts a few wolves in the process, during her incarceration.
This is from the game?
In the game, yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
again, the prophet has
the prophet.
been dead.
Wow.
Yeah, you.
I keep thinking Hanrahan. I'm like, put her face on that prophet.
Putting the two of them together is a strong possibility because Hanrahan seems like the kind of character that could pull off such a thing. Because I haven't seen her show any emotion. She's very like stern and in charge through the whole thing. So very possibly she is still the prophet. They're just doing it in a different way as they've changed so many things in this series from the game, but also haven't changed anything, which is amazing to me that they've managed to do that.
Oh yeah, like loop back around to beats, but which is something we can maybe touch on too. But just to maybe close this out, I just prophets. I think it's like we all know scripture. I think we're all scripture people of some book or another, but yeah, they kind of just come along. In Judaism we have multiple prophets, and so they're generational. Kind of like what we're talking about with Cassandra, Cassandra actually. It's a lot like that. It's not that people don't hear them, but they make their presence known enough for people to be able to listen to them. For some reason they've got this spooky aura, and I think that could happen here if it is Hanrahan. They just something about her, and I don't know. Like I said before, I'm just like 75% more attracted after that scene to Hanrahan. So just saying. So she could be I think that's proof, actually. Just proof that Dave's attracted. That's proof.
I'm gonna interrupt whatever this is
and go to the chat.
Go to the comments because Rob is saying,
good call.
Thank you for all for the stream. I hope to stay longer next time. I really love hearing your opinions. You all make me laugh even when I need it most. I wish you all a lovely evening. What a pleasant thing to read. Bye, Rob. Thank you for being here.
It's my every desire. It's every desire.
Thank you, Rob.
To make people laugh. Especially after that one review where they said it's a giggle fest. It was the title.
Laugh too much.
They laugh too much. Thank you, Blue Cat 426.
I'll remember that username for the rest of my life.
I remember everything, Rachel. All my traumas.
Francisco said, "Nah, I'm a chill guy." This was in reference to like us talking about him being representative of the gaming community in some way, shape, or form. Also funny, which is apparent, I think. And I had commented because I didn't want to miss this comment and to reassure him to say, it's apparent, bud. We appreciate you. I'll go as far as to say, we love you, Francisco.
Yes.
For sure.
Rob says, just being involved with the show and meeting the actors, they're also down to earth, but everyone struggles with something, unfortunately. It speaks volumes that Bella deactivated her Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is just really sad.
I hope it gives her a more healthier outlook on life because it's so much more full.
Yeah,
than
exactly.
Just this.
Like you've so much more going for you than these absolute trolls that are just saying horrible things to you on the internet.
Well, even just social media in general.
Oh,
right?
Well, yeah, obviously. Comparison is the thief of joy, as we often state on this podcast.
Exactly.
I love that. We haven't enough, apparently.
Steve's taken aback by it, but I've definitely said it before.
No. Lies.
Francisco
I edit these episodes.
says, it makes me understand more why comic fans, which I have seen them dislike TV Negan in reference to the Walking Dead comics, because he also doesn't look like JDM. He does his best with the charisma jokes, but there's a big gap. And I will say, having read the comics, the person, it's very clear who JDM is supposed to be.
Henry Rollins.
Much like with the governor, looked like Danny Trejo. Negan is supposed to look like Henry Rollins. So just a short, bulky, mad guy. And
but he's really got a creamy interior, aka Henry Rollins, and a good comedian, by the way.
Dropping the F-bomb left and right. So that's why Negan's character did. I have to say, as someone who read the comics, and Rachel can chime in on this too, because she also read them, it didn't matter much to me. It was more about the delivery that I cared about. I wanted the delivery to be the right way. And I think that JDM does a great job with it, and always has. And so I wasn't really worried about the fact that he wasn't like this Henry Rollins looking guy. He's way taller than he was originally supposed to be in the comics, but that makes him more intimidating to me.
I think the fact that he's older and far more attractive and charismatic is the point. There's a bit of I'm not going to say softness to it, but approachability to it. He's not scary, but on the other hand, it's what he does that makes him scary. It's what he's willing to do.
Correct. Yeah.
And so I think that was what they were going for. Yeah. Well, actually, this reminds me of what the housekeeping I wanted to bring up was, and it's going to be in the next episode of Dead City. And it is an article that was written about why should I think they should shut Dead City down. Negan's got to go. We'll get to that when we talk about Dead City. I did bring it up in our Discord. I don't
want to talk about that right now.
Yeah,
okay.
I did bring it up in our Discord, and we will chew on it. We will chew on it.
Okay. Francisco says, Fedra and Sarah fights. It's like seeing the Saviors versus the Whisperers, some twisted way. I guess I am making fun of everybody, quote unquote. David Cold cameo.
That's right. It's all in good fun. Hopefully.
Francisco thinks that it's probably a memory or memories flashback, and then asks, Karina, are you in the Matrix? Because I can see your digital self, because our live stream has some bleed through tonight. And I will say, Karina, it looks like you're in the Take On Me music video. Honestly.
Cool.
So
it's just progressively getting darker.
Just throwback.
That's crazy. Karina looks perfectly fine to me.
No, but you're not seeing her on YouTube.
Not here on the YouTube. There's bleed through.
Yeah, I'm keying out the black, so as her side gets darker. Yeah, it wasn't like that before, but I think your room is getting darker or something, and so it's starting to.
Yeah, because the sun is setting.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, but look at my mic. Black. Look at that. See? Whoop.
And then Rob said thanks to all of us, which was very, very sweet.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Francisco says, I love you guys too. Maybe one day we can hang out where you guys hang out at cons. And I would absolutely love that. I love meeting people in person.
We need money for cons.
Watch this here. It's very cool.
We talked about it a lot in our Discord.
I think Henry Rollins wasn't cast for one reason, acting resume, but Negan is not that tall either.
He was asked. Just so you know.
Was he asked?
Yeah, he was asked.
I didn't know that, actually.
He turned it down. Yeah, for sure. He loves the comics.
He turned it down.
I feel like he was too old at that point.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think he turned it down for sure. And I think it was to their advantage, I think, in the end, because JDM carries Negan in the way that would have been better for the show. Well, we talked about that in season 8.
Oh, no. Is it your bedtime, Rachel?
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh.
She was moving.
The clock struck 8.
No one.
The bell tolls for Rachel. Well, do you want to leave us with some parting thoughts before you go?
There's too many.
Pick one.
No.
There's too many. There's too many. I have so much I wanted to say and talk about, but I guess it'll stay in my brain.
Cruel.
Love you guys.
Have a good one. Have a good one, you jerk.
Upset.
Sleep well, you idiot.
All right. One final thought. I'll give you one nugget.
Okay, good.
No.
I like it.
It's so not worth it. Poor Josh Peck.
Oh, from episode 4. I forget that you watched episode 4 and 5, so I'm sure you have a ton to say.
Yeah.
But some of it is applicable to last episode. I got it.
I told you it was this, and this was episode 5. Anyway,
I know. But But we keep going here and then there and then this and then upside down and this way and that way and Walking Dead and then back and then.
I did bring up the
It's
grenade in
fair.
the truck, so I did screw the pooch probably there. Yep.
Okay. Good night, you guys. Love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Love you
Bye. Good
too. Thanks for joining
night.
us. Neo's the one said goodbye. Good night, Rachel. Yay. Thanks, Neo. Neo's the one. Neo's the man. Okay. Now that she's gone, let's play. Let's do our thing.
Wow.
Wow.
We don't need that one. Ugh.
Rough.
Let me just switch
Oh,
it.
I'm so curious about what she was thinking about, though. Okay. Anyway,
Just too many thoughts, she says.
too many thoughts.
It's going to be a Dave sandwich. Here, we're going to put me here. I'll put Karina here. And there we go. Absolutely. Because I'm a perfectionist.
It's like, no.
Anyway. Oh, you wanted to go to the Ellie performance, Bridget.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to speak on the difference between Ellie as we see her in the last minutes of this episode
Compared to the last few episodes.
compared to the last couple of episodes. And I'm going to start with just one word, which is sociopath. And I'm just going to start with that. The reason I want to say that is because this is very this is compartmentalization at its finest, right? This is you trying to and grief is weird. Grief is a weird thing. Anyone who's been through real grief knows how weird it can be and how you can't really. I mean, I'm going through it right now. Like I'm really going through it right now. Literally right now with some stuff that's happened in my life. I talked very openly about it on my own channel, but I just recently had my third miscarriage. And I'm here. I'm laughing. I'm joking. I'm like cracking jokes, right? And I like seem fine. And that's how it's been. Like I'm like fine a lot of the time
Until you're not.
until all of a sudden I'm just completely not. And obviously I'm not seeking vengeance against anyone. There's no
I
one
was
to
going to make a
seek
joke about
vengeance
that,
against.
but then thought
But-
better of it.
But like for instance, Sunday was a really tough day for me. It was really hard. I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like we talked about going to our church, which because we have like a very supportive church family. And I was like, I told my husband, I said, I feel bad saying this because I love the people that we go to church with. I love them. They're my friends. I see them regularly throughout the week. We work together. We do things in our free time together. I didn't want to see them because I just felt like they knew what had happened to me. And it was like people were going to feel bad for me. And I didn't
Right.
want that. So
I've
like you
experienced a similar thing, not in any capacity the way that you have, but being in the midst of grieving something very deeply and just wanting to be in a space where you don't have to be that person that everybody looks at like, oh, poor Karina or poor
Right?
Bridget. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
don't want to be that person for one day,
Yeah. So that's I know that like humor and like making light of the situation oftentimes is a really big coping mechanism for people going through grief because it helps you to process it because you can tell yourself like I'm still a normal person because there's two sides to this coin, right? Like you can get really frustrated and pissed and be like I don't want people to treat me like a baby. I'm not a baby. I'm fine. Like I'm fine. I'm fully capable of doing what I need to do. But on the other end of it, when people expect you to just recover quickly or bounce back or do things right away that they're like, well, this is your job or whatever, you should be able to do it. Then you're like mad because you're a changed person.
Why
now.
don't you get
and
it?
how can't you see that I'm changed in this way? And so
Yeah.
it's really, really, really frustrating. It's really hard. And actually I really wish Rachel was here for this because this grief topic is always something that she can really strongly resonates with her really strongly. And so I wish she was here for this. But Ellie is going through that. And to me, this feels like a very realistic representation of what grief looks like when your whole life has been filled with grief.
Mhm.
Because the more stuff that I go through, the more loss I go through, the more guilty I begin to feel because like I come back like world
Yeah,
keeps
like,
turning.
That happened.
Does that make sense? Like
yes.
like I just like because I've had as I've said to many people I've had one hell of a life And I've been through a lot, and I've had a lot of grief in my life. I've had a lot of loss. And the more it happens, the less, it's not that it doesn't affect me, it just affects me in a different way. I don't really know how to describe it
Well,
honestly,
is
but
it less a muscle and more of a I know this drill? I know
it's
myself
kind
when
of
I'm
like
like this.
I know how, yeah, exactly. I know how I'm going to be. I told you, Dave, like I was worried I was going to lose myself again. And so I started to do that thing again where I was like, let me just pour myself into like other things, right? Like so then all of a sudden Dave's like,
Routine or
why is Bridget like popping up constantly now? Like, are we going to New York Comic Con? Are we doing
yeah,
this? Are we doing this? And he's like, whoa. But this is
intense.
like, this
Please
is how I
stop.
like manage it. It's how I manage it
Mm.
is by like throwing, but anyway, so this like throwing yourself into a mission, this makes sense to me. Throwing yourself into a mission, and then also on top of that being like, everything's cool, baby. I'm doing finger guns. Why? I don't know. I don't normally do them. I am grief
Not true.
ridden.
You
It's
do it more
happening
than you
now.
No,
think.
no, I do it a lot. But I'm saying like from Ellie's perspective, it's like, why
Yeah.
am I cracking jokes saying I'm going to be a dad now? This isn't something
Yeah.
I would normally do. But it's because you're just trying to like. She doesn't want to be the girl who lost her dad.
Yeah.
And yet she's the girl who lost her dad. Mm. But
Yep.
there's more to that. There's more to that. Can we go? Oh, go ahead, Karina. You go ahead.
I was going to mention from the first season and from the first game where, Joel tries to tell her she doesn't know what loss is. And she said, I've lost everybody. Everyone I've cared about, I've lost or left. They've left except for you. And then now she's lost him too. And I think she is afraid of how much that hurts. And her most stable way that she can think of to deal with it is through violence, because her and Joel are very similar, and he would have dealt with it, his emotions, his deep hurt by lashing out at other people. What happened when he lost Sarah? He refused to talk about it. He refused to connect to anyone else, and he became one of the worst people you can think of, just surviving. Did he have to do all the things that he did to survive? Was it necessary to do those things? Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. So, it's a similar kind of reaction I think that she's having to go about, well, I have to go kill these people. I have to torture Nora to get the answer from her. I have to, because she can't see any other way to deal with her grief.
Or like Joel would have wanted me to, maybe in her own
Yeah,
twisted
that's what
way.
Joel, if it were me, yeah, Joel would do this in a heartbeat, no problem.
And I gotta say, it's not just Joel. It is a little Dina too. Because what do we get? What we get earlier on in that episode, I go to the ends of the earth to find that guy to who killed my mom. Had I not found him first and shot him. But what you're describing, both of you, in that grief is Future Days, the song by Pearl Jam. It's the idea that the past, you see the thing in front of you that is happening, that is coming, that you're grasping towards, and yet you're subsumed by past events, by trauma even. And you have to make a choice to let it go, to let that current take whatever that is away from you that you're holding on to, or not. And like Tess, like anything good that may have come across Joel's life until he met Ellie, ruin whatever that is, cut people off, not let them in, that sort of thing. So, great song choice for starters. But this will,
It's a very poignant song for the theme of the game. The idea that you can choose how grief affects you. Ultimately, you can choose to hang on to it. You can choose to let it go. And that's all I'll say about the rest of the themes of the game in that respect. But
right. It's kind of like what I wrote in the description. You can choose. Some people, I kind of tied it to what Dina says, that everybody has a boring yet unique and horrifying origin story. Can you guess how this goes? Is it, oh, Raiders? Yeah, Raiders won. But yeah, you know the drill.
Yeah.
And yet, some people have multiple origin stories. Many things that happen along their way. And I'm not specifying who or what or when. I'm just saying that's us in a nutshell. The pollen path, we talked about it on Dark Winds. It's the idea that we all travel a circuitous path. And eventually, however big that circle is, eventually we stumble across something that stops us. And then sometimes we need the community or the people who we love around us to unstick us. Sometimes we can do it on our own, and that's great. But every single time that happens, there's a threat. And the threat is, does this alter me? Does this fundamentally change who I am? And it will do that every single time you come across this trauma, or whatever trauma befalls you, or you stumble across, or you incur. And so, in relation to this show, yeah, Ellie, we're seeing the two sides of Ellie at war. Essentially, isn't that the greater allegory? You have this little literal war between what was the Seraphites and what is WLF or the future. Where Fedra was kind of the middle, but that's gone now. The present is gone now. Ellie is the present. The two sides of her warring, and so that's a macrocosm to what's happening inside Ellie. Which one will win out? Because it's very clear by the end of this episode. We'll jump to it really quickly and maybe jump out. I'm not sure. That it's not about Joel at all. Not really. Did you get that by the end of it? That this was not about Joel in the slightest? I'm not qualifying my statements, am I? Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Yes, it's intentional. Shall I qualify?
Just say what you're going to say, man.
Why don't you read the chat before I qualify?
Okay.
Think about
Everyone
it.
said goodnight to Rachel, and then Francisco said, Rachel is gone. Time to go really deep now.
I love this guy.
Grief is
Not
the
true.
most destructive weapon in the world. It will push people. Though too much grief will cloud the judgment and not see the good side of anything, because there's always a good side. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Francisco. That reminds me of the reason why I'm going to skip that. We've gone into Walking Dead like so many times already. I'm going to just skip it
San
for
Francisco, you got to catch up. Dead City. We're going to get there.
now. I'm going to skip it. Maybe Ellie, after Joel's death, she stopped seeing people as people.
That could be something. But let's go. Okay.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think there's a blindness to it.
Oh, right blindness, like you did earlier. I want to be right. So
I think you're so well, because, and Dina points it out in this episode, you go charging in, you're a little bit crazy. It's what I love about you. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. But what she's referring to is the fact that Ellie is running head first into everything. Now, obviously we see that before Joel dies. This is part of her personality, but I think it's amplified by this. We see it in the choices made in the last couple scenes of this episode.
Pause. Pause. Because when is she not doing that? Rushing in
When
head
is
first.
she not rushing in?
Yeah. When she's with Dina.
Correct.
She's, what does she do at the beginning of this episode? She goes, oh, no, we should turn back. It's like, and you're sick, right? They stumble upon the Seraphite bodies. You're sick. This is, I never should, you know what? And she's not a burden. She's like, we shouldn't do this. Dina rallies and tells her the story about her mom. And because that's love, isn't it? You rally for the person you love. You make it happen, because if I were in her shoes, I'd want that to happen. And I would also be the one to say we should turn back. But no, not today. No, and Joel meant something to me too. Sorry. I just needed to throw that in there because it's what we're saying before.
But in a way, she does still rush in with Dina. Think about it, she's 19 and she's ready to be a dad. Just like that. She finds out and she's like, oh, I'm going to be a dad. And she's willing to take on the burden of somebody else's child, like, just because Dina said. So that is part of her personality. And she's willing to take on whatever it is, whether she's excited about it or not excited about it. I think she's willing to just barrel forward and be like, yep, that's what we're doing now.
Yep. So. And it's amplified, I think, by the grief of losing Joel. I think.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even considered that.
Huh. I think the loss of Joel has led her to, there's nothing restraining her now at this point, because you would think that her love of Dina and wanting to keep Dina safe would be enough to restrain her, for her to say, never mind, it's fine, let's go home, you're pregnant, you're going to have a baby, we're going to start a family, I want that, let's just leave.
Well, but Dina eggs her on. So, which I like that, but actual change.
But honestly, I would think in this situation, I were put in that position, I would want to go home. Nothing else would matter anymore.
Yeah, I agree. But
this would be the only thing that would matter now.
I wholeheartedly agree. Unfortunately, she's
So
not you. So-
no, and so I think
But a little
it is
bit.
amplified by the loss. But some things about Ellie and I are very similar. The willing to run headfirst into things without thinking is 100%.
And needing to be
who
good
I
at
am.
everything.
Oh,
Or is
yes.
that
And then if
more
I'm not
you?
good at it, it's stupid.
It's dumb. Let's go back to Jackson. I'm not good at murder.
It's like, I'm not good at triangulation. Well, then it's dumb. You do
It's
it.
dumb.
I don't even want to do it.
'Cause
Yeah.
you're so effing
Never
smart.
wanted to do it.
That is something I will bring up, the differences between game Ellie and series Ellie. She was never portrayed as being a kid who thought school was stupid. She just didn't like being told what to do. She had a bigger problem with authority. She's actually very, very smart, as we'll see in the next episode, because I'm like 99% sure it's going to be a flashback episode with Joel and Ellie. And I know what happens in the flashback, and it's great. It's going to be an awesome episode. You guys are going to love it. But
I love your enthusiasm.
It's well
It's infectious.
established that especially in that flashback, that Ellie is quite intelligent. She just wants to study what she thinks is interesting and what she thinks is important, and she doesn't like some authority figure standing over her telling her your behavior is inappropriate and this is not, you need to do it this way or whatever. She doesn't like that, but she's not unschooled in that way. So when she mentioned, she's like, I never needed school anyway. I think she's just saying that because that's part of like what people expect from her and this sort of like quippiness that she has, but she does like learning. She just wants to learn about things she wants to learn about.
It seems to me like it's more that quest for actual street knowledge, like survival knowledge over like the knowledge of things of yore, right? It's like,
Right.
it's like
Why do I
these
need
things
math
just
or history
won't matter as much right now
when you're a kid?
But
well, I mean, interestingly, I mean, she's very into space travel. Like, I think
true.
if
she
she would
does
have
love
been
space travel.
if she would have been born in the before times, she probably would have wanted to be an astronaut. And ironically, you need math for that.
It's true.
It's
true.
Physics,
but you can't do that now, so I don't want to waste my time learning about it because
Exactly.
it doesn't
Like,
matter. It's not applicable any longer.
Yeah. It's not something that's
and
ever
yet
gonna happen
maybe
for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, because we see how intelligent she is in this episode is really the scene in the warehouse is impressive for several different reasons. There were a lot of things I think to gather from just that one scene, which is kind of cool. But when they have these stalker creeper smart ones popping up literally just everywhere in that room,
Smart substrate.
within 30 seconds she has a whole plan worked out to keep Dina safe. And I just think being able to think on your feet in that way is a very specific type of smart that is just, it's really impressive to me.
And think about how she infiltrated the hospital with guard dogs and everything around, and she was on the fly. She made that decision in a split second when she was running through the park, and she's like, oh, there's the hospital,
there it is,
and she just went over there and did it, and like on
like
the
a
fly
gamer
managed to sneak in there without alerting hardly anybody. I mean, the dog knew she was there, but she managed to get around, and I'm so glad that she just snuck away from the dog because
they're the worst.
As I mentioned to you in messages, I feel like the bad guy every time I have an encounter with the dogs. So, I'm grateful that they portrayed that in a much more humane manner.
If I ever play the games, I'm going to be shooting all the dogs and just sending you the video of me doing that.
I mean, it's not the fact that you're doing it. It's the NPC's reactions to you doing it that's so heartbreaking. It's pretty awful.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's pretty horrific.
Check and mate, Karina.
I mean, he named her Bonnie, Dave. What do you think? There's
have
not an
names.
emotional connection?
They all have names.
I love that.
I'm so upset.
I love that for you.
God.
And me, I guess. Well, I think what you're describing is intuitions rather than intelligence. I mean, there's a battle intelligence, I guess. Not much of tactics.
I don't know. It's a calculated decisions that you're making.
Yeah.
You're just making them really quickly.
Yeah, she's good on her feet. She's confident.
Correct.
She's good instincts for what will keep her alive, I think.
That's why I used intuitions. It's kind of like a blend of thinking well on your feet, confidence, and instincts. So I blend that to that. I think that's an amazing insight, actually. And I never disagreed with that too. By the way, I do think she has really, really good instincts or intuitions. And everybody has their strengths, right? Like Dina can have her charting capabilities and basically everything she's good at. That's fine. It's fine, Isabella Merced. It's fine. You go, girl. You do you, but you're not Ellie, and it's fine. You can be not Ellie. It's cool for you. I love it for you. Let me go back to the thing I was going to say before we go back to the chat because I want to, because Francisco, I'm so sorry. I'm going to qualify my statement about what I said before because it's not about Joel. There's a couple of things to hit on when I say that. One, the song that she was about to play in the stage on the theater. It's Future Days. What Future Days? Future Days references the thing she can't let go. She was totally fine doing Take On Me, because it's about Dina, and we're shortening that conversation. We did it last time. Because it makes sense. I'm with the girl that I love, even though I can't say it quite yet. But she can't say that here. She's not ready to let go yet. She has a mission. Like you said, grieving, mission, helps. Also, if you are listening with headphones, you can hear kind of like that blood in your ears, like she's getting angry. She wants to sing this song. She has the girl that she loves with her. She's going to be a dad. But she can't let go yet. Go to the end of the episode, and she knew. She knew. She already knew. We don't know that she knew. We never really knew 100%. It was never clear that she knew what Joel did or that Joel did it. But she knew. Compartmentalizing. Okay. That was the big tell for me. That this wasn't about Joel at all. It's not even about Abby. It's about her. So a lot of that is you hate in others what you hate in yourself. The inability to protect the ones you love. You know, it kind of goes to what she says to Gail in the hospital. I wished I could have let him off the hook. But she says that because she wants to do the things that she wants to do because she can't make it up to Joel. He's no longer here to make it up to.
Well, yeah, Dave, I think that's fair to say. I understand what you're saying. Like, I think the clear motive is that Joel is the reason that she's going after them. I understand what you're saying. The real grief comes from her not being able to protect Joel, to save Joel, or to make amends with Joel.
That's
None
more
of
the
those things can
second.
occur.
More the second thing than the first thing. Because of all the S that she gave Joel before he died. There was a lot of enmity. There's even in this is the kicker. The kicker comes in the form of that flashback. Because that's what she wants. She wants to go back to that time where she was in her bedroom, not in the garage, in her murder factory. Basically, her emo murder factory with her headphones on, building weapons, right, Karina? She's modifying her weapons.
Her little workbench, yeah.
Yeah, all the weapons on the floor just before they're about to leave. And it's like, there's no way you can carry that entire artillery with you on the road. You're a tiny human being, Ellie. As much as you've grown over the years, Bella Ramsey. There's no way that's going to fit. You can't walk in a tank. What I'm saying, you don't have a power armor like in Fallout.
Right.
Anyway, but my point is, yeah, you regret because you're Ellie. You go in headstrong. You'll die before you forgive somebody, right? This is what I was saying. You'll die before you relent. Unless it's Dina, maybe there's a chance there. Maybe there's an opportunity to pull back. Fine. But that flashback scene tells me everything I need to know. That maybe if I do this, I can feel like I've made up for that. And I feel like, and I think we all know where this leads. There's no making up for that. You have to live with that. That's life. And if you really know Joel, you'll know that all he ever wanted for you was to be happy and have a future. Ideally with me, but that's not happening. And this is what I was trying to say before. I literally stood up and go, it wasn't about Abby at all. It's not about Abby whatsoever. It's about finding something to make up for the way she treated Joel in his final days. Period. Joel was doing his best. He's reaching out to her. He's trying to connect with her with the guitar and everything. Just, I don't know. And rant.
I agree with you. I agree with you because she pretends like it doesn't affect her. Like you said, in the hospital, she's flippantly saying like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could have forgave him," and all that kind of stuff. Like that kind of thing weighs on you. I, from personal experience, family members that are no longer here that I maybe had treated not so great, especially when I was a teenager, I feel like there's no way to make up for that behavior, even though, I lived long enough to treat them better. you know, it still sticks with me and it still makes me regretful that for a time I was not a good person to them. And that's something you can never get back. And for Ellie, it's even worse because she can't even go to him and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I acted this way," because he's gone. And even right before, this happened, they had a blowout. It was very fresh on both of their minds, I'm sure, when Joel was killed. So I agree with you. I think that a lot of her anger and her revenge seeking is about trying to atone for the way she treated Joel.
Yeah, and the only way in her love language.
Yeah.
The only way she knows how. If I do this, maybe this will make up for it. Well, and isn't that what Joel tried to do with Ellie? If I take care of this one child, I don't have any illusions about being attached to her, but maybe if I take care of this child, it's like a win for what happened to Sarah.
Yeah, if he can succeed where he failed in the past.
Yeah, and there's a symmetry to that too, if you think about it, because did Joel think he was going to get attached to Ellie? No. Did you think that Ellie for 1 second would say, maybe we should go back, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be out here? What? I never thought she'd say those words ever to Dina, obviously. In not just this episode, but when she finds out she's pregnant. I don't know, not even when she finds out when she's pregnant. I think when she threw up on the road. No, not when she threw up on the road. But there is an indicator that she's not rushing in. She's listening to Dina. She's taking her advice. She's like deferring to her. What do you think we should do? What? You never hesitated when it came to Joel. You're like, we should do this. And he had to just put a leash, he had to lasso you down to the floor and be like, listen, Ellie, we're doing this. Stop being dumb. He actually literally raised the back of his hand because it's it's the old days. I don't know. He's an old man. I'm so sorry.
Gosh.
That was so dumb.
Wow.
Bridget, why don't you read the chat before we continue?
Okay.
I don't want to lose Francisco.
Yes.
He's worked so hard to be here.
Francisco says he promises he will catch up with Dead City, by the way.
Oh, I love
Just
hearing
trying
that.
to find the strength to watch it.
Hold your Lucille. She'll give you strength.
Francisco says, hot take. I think Dina has been more mad about Joel's death than Ellie. I think both should be, but from the last episode, it seems Dina is more.
Yes.
I just want to interject here that I think that is an intentional choice by the writers. I don't think that is actually the case.
Yeah, I agree. Compartmentalizing.
Yes, it's the compartmentalization aspect of it coming through like very clearly.
She wants to have her cake and eat it too, is basically what I'm thinking. It's like, I have this thing with Dina now. I don't want to screw that up. I don't want to screw that up at all. But I still want to get that revenge because clearly, okay, what happens at the end of this house? Just, I'm sorry, I'm doing this thing. They get separated in the park.
Yeah.
And she should go back to the theater. But she sees the hospital in the distance. She's like,
That's what I was saying. Like she can't help herself. Like it's that rushing in head first, not even thinking like I should have other people with me. I should think this through, just barreling in.
But also, what was the last thing that was said before they encountered issues with people? Tommy and me are here. We left a day after you did, which is why we're here in day 2. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, we're taking your ass home. Mm-hmm. So if she is to go home, she wants to go to the hospital to first of all, if she can find Abby that night, of course she's going to take care of Abby. But if she can find enough evidence about Abby's whereabouts, that might be enough to get Tommy on board to be able to, Jesse, slow your roll. Tommy and Ellie are going to go hunting for Abby. You know what I mean? Because she knows that if she gives him just enough, they're already here. If she gives Tommy just enough, he'll be like, all right, fine.
Also, too, I'm glad that we are now kind of full circle with the game where you remember I told you
You son of a
half the
bitch.
reason
I thought that when he said me and
half
Tommy,
the
I was like,
reason
oh,
yeah,
nice. We're back to it.
half the reason they're there is for revenge. The other half is in game, is for revenge, and then the other half is to bring Tommy home, because Tommy is the one who left early. Um, and a lot of your adventures and things like that are going to find Tommy. And I did want to bring up that the way Jesse arrives is somewhat similar in the game. Very different circumstances though, because again, on day 2, Ellie is going out to search for, Dina's been listening to the radio. As we've established in game, she's staying at the theater. She's too ill to go anywhere else. So she's been helping the best way she can by mapping out all the zones that they're talking about. And, Dina mentions in the series that they talk like they know nobody's listening. So Dina in game is able to gather all this information about what zones they're at, all their troop movements, everything is, they're just saying it out loud. And so she's mapping it out for Ellie. And she said, as they're, figuring it out, a broadcast comes over about a lone male trespasser. And they're like, oh, it's got to be Tommy. I'm going to go figure it out. And that's when Ellie goes out by herself to Hillcrest. And they abbreviated a lot of day 2, because most of day 2 is you traipsing through Seattle, getting
Singing a
into
song,
skirmishes. Yeah,
skipping along the way. No.
like getting into
Traipsing.
skirmishes, taking out infected. It's a lot. It's a slog to get from one point to another. But essentially, you go find this lone male trespasser, which happens to be Jesse, not Tommy. And Jesse says very much the same thing. I left the day after you. And then they just have a short conversation together about these WLFs and how crazy they are. And like, they just shoot people on sight. They didn't even give me a chance to explain myself. They didn't ask me any questions. They just started shooting. And so, this is what they've experienced in the past too, where Isaac has now said, just shoot all the trespassers. We're not taking any chances. I don't care who they are, just kill them. So, they go back together, Ellie and Jesse. And Jesse's got a little bit of like a sprained ankle or whatever, so he needs time to rest for just a moment. And in that time, Dina figures out that Nora is at the hospital. And they said, oh, we know who Nora is. Let's go. I'm going to go to the hospital. And she begs Ellie to wait for Jesse so that he can go with her.
Safety in numbers.
She refuses, and she just goes out by herself. She's like, Nora will be gone by the time, he wakes up and we go over there. She'll be gone. I'll miss my opportunity. I have to go now. So day 2 is very much abbreviated. Ellie's encounter with the stalkers in day 2, in this large building. It's an office building. And
Membronics.
it's probably, I'd have to play through that section again because I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy worrying about where the stalkers were.
So they're the same.
Basically, yeah. So she gets swarmed by stalkers in this one building, in game. And one of my favorite things, like, you finally get through this area, and it's a whole chaotic mess to get out of there. Even if you're taking your time and getting through this area cautiously, at the end you still get ambushed by many infected, and you get knocked into the river, which is like rushing. It's like not a real river. It's a river that's happened because the whole city's falling apart. I don't know what's going on in Seattle. I don't know if they have earthquakes there or what, but everything's just absolutely destroyed in Seattle. So you fall into the river, which then sweeps you into the sewers. And
how video gamey, Mario.
I know, right? And
sorry,
you have to make your way out of the sewers. And she says, one of my favorite things that she says, she's like, freak Seattle. Like, that's not what she says. So she's just so over this place. And when she climbs out of the sewers, she's now at the entrance of the park where she encounters the Seraphites. And that scene is almost exactly like in the game. You watch this whole scene play out, from hiding from the bushes. Ellie actually gets shot with the arrow in her shoulder. And then you have to find your way around the Seraphites. And It's challenging and difficult because those torches, that is a game mechanic that keeps you from being able to hide in the brush the way you normally would, because they can see you, because they have torches.
They're not
Um,
clickers.
yeah, exactly. And they're not, they know what they're looking for, and they're pretty good at sneaking up on you too. So yeah, that whole thing is pretty much the same, except in the series we have Dina and Jesse along for the ride, at least for a little while. Eventually, you make your way to the hospital and you confront Nora. The chase scene is exactly the same, including them shooting at you from the balcony. So I was excited to see that type of thing. Her initial confrontation with Nora is the same. She
Ooh.
says the exact same thing to her and
Ooh.
pisses her off, and like that's where they end up chasing her through the hospital. The biggest difference would be the ending of that sequence where they end up in the spore infested area. Ellie throws them both down there. She takes Nora with her and chooses to throw them both down into the spore
Right, because
infested
up until this
basement.
point, Ellie in the game has been through spores. It's old hat to her, right?
Oh yeah, this is no big deal for
Right.
her. So the only escape route she has, she's cornered by other wolf soldiers who are, basically they're in a standoff, and so finally she's got Nora, and she just throws them both over the edge and into the infected area, where you then follow her in with the red light and everything. All of that is exactly the same, and I think that's great that they decided to add the spores in, because it's a big element of that scene, that Nora is dying anyway. She's infected at this point, and she has nothing to lose, and she has no reason to tell Ellie anything. She's not going to give up her friend. And so Ellie, of course, makes the decision to get it out of her any way she can. And in that moment, I will say, those last 10 minutes that everybody keeps talking about, that
Yeah.
was the truest depiction of game Ellie that I have seen so far. Um, Aside from, of course, the Joel's death scene, she was very accurate in that as well. But I think there's so much going on emotionally in that scene that it's hard to process. With this, you can really focus in, because we don't really care about Nora that much, you know what I mean, and what's going to happen to her. So we can kind of focus in, at least for me, I can focus in on what Ellie is doing, what Bella's doing as an actress, portraying this character so perfectly in that moment. So I did want to point that out, that me too, I also feel like that scene was just perfect in every way. And I don't agree with people who don't think that Bella should be playing Ellie. I think she does an amazing job with it. And they are making some choices to change her character slightly, possibly for the better, because if you look at Ellie's trajectory and her choices in the game, she can be very unlikable. The way she treats Dina when she finds out she's pregnant, the way she habitually chooses her own goals over her friend's safety over and over and over again. There is something to be said for how that, leads you to the end of the story and the choices that she ultimately makes by the end of it. But I'm curious to see how, they're going to approach those subjects once we get there in the series.
To see if like everything that we built up towards makes a little bit more sense, like in the grand narrative, right?
Or if it has a even more
Impactful.
emotional gut punch when she ultimately makes the decision that I know she's going to at the end, based on the way she treats her friends in the series versus in the game, So
Yeah. I have to say several things to everything you just said
sure.
before we go back to the chat, because I know we kind of
Sorry.
stopped because Francisco, you said something that was amazing and we had to just latch onto it. Let me go with the thing you just said, which was the intensity of that scene and how it differs from the game, and how spores are always a thing. But Nora made a decision in this episode
Yes.
to go down the shaft knowing that there were spores. Well, it's not
She was
quite
trying to
clear.
get through. Yeah, she was trying to get through, and then the elevator fell, and I don't think she intended to be in the basement, but that's just what happened.
Yeah, I can accept that. And it's clear that it's well known that if that shaft opens, that one should seal off the area, which is what was said in my headphones. As because they don't go after them. They're like, no, seal the corridor because the elevator shaft is open. We ain't taking no chances. Fine. But I like to think that Nora did this on purpose because of two reasons. She did this on purpose to save her friend and other friends, Abby. Well, at least Abby, because there is something to that. There's a sort of reciprocity in narrative where Dina offers, or sorry, not Dina, Ellie offers to Dina, maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe we should turn back. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. At the end of the last episode, it's like, maybe we should turn back now. It's like, you're going to be a mom. This is crazy. This is reckless. Blah, blah. There's an element here from Nora that, and especially after what she says, and that little bitch deserved to die. That's Joel.
Yeah, she
like
insults him.
She completely believes in what they did was the right thing to do, because why not? Dina said it best. If it was me, it doesn't matter if we did them wrong. They did us wrong. We got to do it back. Whatever. So I like to think there was a choice because she went to spare her friends. If I die here, nobody else gets hurt. She doesn't get the information she needs. The guards can take her out. Blah blah blah. Going to Ellie being shot in the leg, and sorry, not Dina being shot in the leg with an arrow in the park in the show. We had thought, okay, what could be the thing that could get Dina to stay at home base? It's not the vomiting and the yelling at you. You are a burden. It's not any of that. It's an arrow through the leg. And guess who gets
definitively an arrow to the knee for the Skyrim fans.
Wow. Geek. I love it.
You invited me here because of this.
But you knew it was coming. You knew it was. Maybe you didn't. It's fine. I still like you. It's cool. I hope you like me. That's all I care about. You laughed. So let's just throw it all on the table. I'm just trying to make Bridget laugh out.
God, what is happening?
I'm having an internal monologue. Please
he's
step off.
Freaking out, like
soliloquying.
God, does she like me? Did I insult her?
Calm down.
Dave, I don't like it.
It's fine.
It's my internal thoughts out loud, and I don't like it. Stop.
Are we the same, Bridget?
Yes, Dave. I'm constantly like,
am I also a ginger?
Do they hate me? Do they hate me?
Was that weird?
Do they actually hate me?
So I think that's interesting. So now Dina's at home base, and she's going to have to be there for quite a while, because it's not real life means when you get the arrow through the knee, you're kind of out for the count for quite a while. Physical therapy.
Now is to become a town guard. So
Yep.
That is geekier, but way
the only choice.
I should plug Viva La Dirtly, because they always pan stuff like that in video games. They're a comedy troupe that really just makes fun of video games. Well, not makes fun of video games. They love video games, but some of the idiosyncrasies are really fun to make fun of. Anyway, there was a third thing, and it was in regards to the Spores, because I really want to know, how did you geek out when you started seeing the Spores?
Yeah, I mean, visually it looks almost identical, because you can see them in the air, especially the shot specifically of her walking down the overgrown hallway from behind, because that's generally what you see in game. And
Yet again,
the sort of black or dusty looking like puffs of spores, that's exactly like in the game as you're walking through those areas.
So
the only
glittery.
difference would be that you would have, if you were not playing as Ellie, you would have a mask on, like a breathing mask. So that's a big part of one portion of Abby's story, is finding a mask for another character. And so I'm curious if they will actually include that now, because before, when we didn't know spores were a thing, I'm like, I guess they're just going to cut that whole part out. And no, they might actually include it now, so I'm excited about that. But I really liked that, and I liked seeing that whole overgrown environment, because you do see a lot of that, especially playing as Ellie, because she's immune, so she can go through these areas that other people are afraid to go into, because the risk of infection is so much higher. But of course, in game, that's always the case. I mean, every area where there's infected probably has spores, so you're wearing a mask through a lot of it. But in the series, it has this heightened level of like fear, I think, for them, because they've never encountered it before, and it's like, wow, even the air can kill you now, so we don't know what to do except let's just seal it off and not go down there at all, which arguably is the smartest decision that they can make instead of trying to risk it with a breathing mask.
Yeah, I don't know what this means in grander show lore, but it's kind of cool to think, because another thing that they mentioned in the flashback was the B3 or B2, B3 was where they kept the first patients from the initial outbreak in '03. Boom.
Yes.
So there is, in a sense, they're reordering the stages of infection in a way. Because if you think about it, from the beginning would typically be over time bloaters, I guess is kind of the logic.
Yeah,
They
the ones that
eventually,
were infected the longest become bloaters
right.
eventually.
I contend that maybe if, well, that's interesting. I don't want to get to that. That's fine. It makes me right blind. So it's, remember that scene where Ellie sees the infected in the basement of the supermarket in the first season. I think this was episode 3 with the Frank and Bill one, but she's playing with, she cuts a swath on his forehead. It's just kind of like eyeing her.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so I thought that would have been a good, because he's been down there a long time. And yet something that you'd said in the game was that usually, typically, it's because there's a large number of them in a given area, and they kind of just exude enough spores to make it a hazard, environmental hazard. So I think that's what they're kind of going for. It couldn't have been a lone one. There'd have to be enough to be able to do it.
Right. Yeah, so many people in the hospital, I mean, explaining without giving things away, because a lot of what you learn about that particular section of the hospital happens in Abby's story, which I am sure we will see.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes. So, so yeah, remember when I said it's day 1, 2, and 3 for Ellie, and then day 1, 2, and 3 for Abby? On day 2, they are in the same location at different times. So we will see Abby in the hospital at some point on her day 2. If they're, I'm sure they're following that layout.
It would appear that
I
that is
don't
the case.
think that they're going to divert away that far from the story they have been so far. But yeah, we'll see more of that. But yes, where they're all clustered together, wherever they're trapped inside of a building for a long period of time, you get all of this cordyceps blooming all over the walls and everything else, just like fungus would normally grow in a damp, warm environment. Except now we've got, I did like the addition, I will say, of the ones that were growing into the wall. Those mostly serve in game as just jump scares, because some of them jump off the wall and attack you. And you never know which one, because they all look the same. It could be one that will come alive, it could be one that doesn't. But I did like the addition in this series that the ones that are growing into the walls are breathing out these spores. So that was an interesting change or detail that they added for the series.
Okay. Sorry, I was, while you were talking. See, that's the thing. Well, no, let me comment on what you were saying, because going back to what I was trying to say was, like, it could be interesting, an infected that hasn't had the ability to spread, because they don't really kind of, in this show, it's not clear whether they feed, although the stalkers appear to have fed. I don't know. Because one of the things we said, they're not walkers, everybody. They're not eating the people, at least in the first season. But in this episode, it's not entirely clear, because it feels like the stalkers, at the very least, feed off of the people more than they want to spread their network.
Certainly, with their bites, certainly grow, like, put some type of cordyceps into the bite, because it was growing out of Ellie's bite, from episode 1. And then the one with Tess that, like, sort of gave her that weird, like, cordyceps kiss or whatever, that was like trying to spread it to her that way, where in game, very much clickers and things like that, when they attack you, like, they just rip out your throat. Like, they're trying to kill you. Like, I don't see that they're trying to spread beyond creating a body for the fungus to grow on, which can then spread through spores. But yes, they're basically, I mean, they're not eating you. They just want you dead. Like, they just don't want you walking around anymore.
Okay. Oh, well, okay, to complete my thought, it was like, what if they were there without a feeding source and they had to feed off of themselves, quote unquote? Like, it could go beyond, it moves past some of the stages and goes to bloater, but then past bloater, and then this is kind of where they end up. They can't move anymore. All they can do is spread spores. Thought that could be the last stage of evolution, given a feeding source. Because if they are in an enclosed space for a given period of time altogether, spreading their tentacles and the mycelial network or cordyceps network, whatever, I can see a world in which, okay, the whole thing is to make them infected so that Go forth, young man. Be an infected and get us more food. Bring them back here. It's like, so we can spread and do things. So, but I don't know. Anyway. Bridget, why don't you go back to the chat? Because I'm actually looking for this one little bit of information.
Oh, I'd love to. Okay. I don't even remember where I was. Hold on. Those stalkers were creepy, by the way. Got to talk about them and the spores. Definitely just did that, Francisco. So, um, Ellie wishes she should have done more, but in life, doing more is never enough. And I don't think even if Ellie takes out Abby, it won't be enough because Ellie won't have Joel around to feel that what she did was to make her feel better. And also, Karina, it sounds like a normal day in Seattle, Francisco says. Uh,
I've never
hope,
been. I don't know.
hopefully, there's more in game Ellie moments soon because everyone craves that. And then Sharon D said, Hi, power just came back
Sharon
on.
D, yay.
Hi, worst Cupid ever. Dave, you spreading your neuroses.
Disagree. Disagree.
Then thank you. I also love my spooky shirt. I will confess it is pajamas though. So don't think that I'm like cute and dressed to the nines. I'm just in a matching set right now. That's it. Francisco says, I think the show tries a lot to show fans to sympathize with Ellie or Joel, be like them, accept grief, revenge. And I think that might be why people dislike the writing. The game is very brutal. The spores were one of the best parts of the series, so fast in terms of the cordyceps virus. And then Charity said the cinematography and set design in the basement was fire.
You should see the Instagram post by, I forgot her name already. But yeah, there is a set designer and makeup artist. I forget her name, Abby something or other. But it just, there's a carousel, there's video. She even showed the arrow through the stunt person's leg who played Dina. So much giving from this person who works on set, whom I can't remember at the moment.
Francisco already says probably in season 3. I think this is in reference to Abby's part of the story.
Right. Yeah.
At based on how things are going currently, which is fair. It does appear like we might get the rest of it in season 3. I don't know. Because what we're on episode 5, and how many episodes are there? 6 or
7?
Is it?
There's 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
because we have what I believe is the flashback episode, and then day 3.
And then day 3.
And then,
so then Abby's stuff will come in season 3.
Yes.
And he also says, I hate how short the episodes are. I wish they were like an hour, like a full hour.
I did feel like this episode was incredibly short, especially with how much happens in day 2. But again, a lot of what's happening in day 2 in game is you playing the game. It's like you just slogging through all of these locations that are just infested with, clickers and, wolves and all that kind of stuff. And actually the events that happen, there's not many, and they all happened in this episode. So like we didn't miss anything. It's just we got there so much faster.
Charity also said her worst Cupid ever comment was actually to whoever shot
Dina. Actually, best Cupid ever. I wish she'd shoot more people. They're really good. So one of you guys said for a group of Luddites, essentially, they're pretty effective.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't remember who it was. I want to give credit where credit is due, but here we are, everybody.
No. It's almost 9 o'clock though, so we gotta wrap this bad boy up.
I mean, there was one more thing I wanted to say about the spores, which was...
There's always one thing, Dave.
I had checked prior title sequences, even from the first episode, and I had thought, oh, there is spores in the title sequence in this episode. Apparently, there's a little bit less of them in the prior title sequences. But in this episode, you notice it a whole lot more. There's a lot more spreadage of the... What is it called? Like dust mites in the air, that sort of thing. But it's really, now we know that it's actually spores.
Yeah.
So, and you'll notice it way more when the actual title comes on screen. Like it spreads on screen at the end of the title sequence. And you could see it just kind of blooming out of the sides and stuff like that. Whereas in the prior titles, again, you have to pay attention to the title sequences because they fooled us that one time in episode 2 when it was the lone fungal thing.
I've been watching it every time, Dave, and I don't notice anything else different. But
I didn't notice the spores in the title sequence.
Well, now you know. And now you'll pay more attention. If you want to compare it yourself, there's not a terrible difference, but it is more noticeable in this particular title sequence. Will they continue it? I don't know. Who cares? Just thought you should know. I think there was one thing I wanted to say. The doctor that could have cured everything. The Hey Kiddo. How did it feel to see Joel again? Let's just talk about that for a minute.
Francisco says, I just want to say one more thing. I love you, my squawks.
Hell yeah. That's how we do. Oh yeah, one more thing. Thanks, Francisco.
Just one.
One more thing. Good night.
The turn around, thank you, walk away, whatever from the back focus. You should really subscribe to that channel. It's so valuable. Anyway, Bridget, what did you think about Joel in that flashback? Did it hurt? Did it hurt your heart? It hurt me. Your heart hurt.
It made me happy.
How did that
like,
connect?
aw,
In what sense did you think it had a greater significance to what we just saw? Or like, what did you feel on that? That's not English. Who cares?
Yeah, that was weird. It was a weird way.
Was it a weird way?
It was a weird way. Just say that. I got distracted mid-sentence.
Realize that, actually.
I don't have ADHD. Shut up, Dave. So, well, I don't. Allegedly. I don't know. What am I? A TV scientist?
What am I? A deadologist? Do I look like I have a doctorate in The Walking Dead?
What am I, Dr. Walker?
Oh, where did you get that? It's so funny. I just feel like we're lying to our audience because we talked about this thing that we're going to mention in the next episode of Dead City when we talk about the breakdown.
It's so dumb.
Yeah,
It's
it
so
is so
dumb.
dumb. And maybe we'll, I don't know. Anyway. Karina, did you have any thoughts about seeing Joel at the end? Feelings first. Thoughts.
Obvious. I mean, I knew it was coming. I knew that he was going to be
Okay.
back in the series again. So, and
She told
I'm
us.
aware that I did say. He would
I felt like she I knew he was going to show up right then and there, actually.
No.
That's what it sounded like at first. It's like,
So, the way that they did that by juxtaposing this very happy, bright scene with something very dark and traumatic is exactly what they do in the game. So something it's usually at the end of each day, sometimes in between, but definitely always after something very brutal happens, they'll smash cut to a flashback of a simpler time or an earlier time. And
So she did know it was going to happen.
I did kind of, I mean, it felt very similar to what they do in the game. So, and that sequence is exactly the same where you torture Nora for information. There's a little bit more. I'm sure they're going to show it in the final episode when Ellie returns after getting the information that she wanted, when she returns to the theater. And it's an important scene, and I'm sure that we will see it. But that flashback occurs just after that. So it's in the same time frame. You get this flashback to it's Ellie's birthday, actually. So we get to see what happens during her birthday some years past. So yeah, and I'm really excited for next week's episode because I know it's going to be a really great emotional one. And of course, Joel will be in it through the whole thing. So that will be fun.
ooh, I like that. I like that.
He's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, like for all the people who miss Joel, this is going to be like a nice salve
perfect.
too.
Perfect. And he'll be in season 3 as well, I'm sure, because there's plenty of flashbacks that we have not seen yet that he is in the game that are very important to the story. So I think that we will certainly see him even into season 3 when I'm sure the story is going to be focusing on Abby a lot. We will still have moments with Ellie and Joel.
Oh, I love that for all of us, especially Heather, who was particularly shattered by Joel's death.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I will say one thing, and well, yeah, I'm always saying one thing. The reason why I stepped aside to do a little tiny bit of research was because I wanted to find out who the Seraphites strung up and disemboweled. I had thought it was maybe one of the voice actors from the game. I had a hunch. I was wrong. The actor's name is Matthew Yanagia. and I thought maybe he was the voice actor for Owen or something. I just felt like he just looked so familiar. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he took one of the voice actors and just killed him in the show? But he does have. Well, it's so funny when you see actors that you know from other shows. He has like a good cult sci-fi ish career path in his acting career, and he has been on video games, but not this one, as far as I can tell. So, as far as I looked on his IMDb page, so it's failure, failure. You can't win them all, Dave. Can't win them all.
I feel like
Right,
it would have
right, blindness.
recognized if it was
It's
Owen's voice actor, because I'm pretty sure that motion capture looks just like the voice actor. So, like,
Oh man. Let's read the rest of the chat. I know there's a little bit extra, Bridget. Don't say this
Okay.
swear word. 'Cause I know it's gonna be there.
Karina's YouTube feed looks like she got the cordyceps. I think that's the bleed through.
Agreed.
The
okay,
YouTube.
cool.
No, she's infected.
Um,
She's infecting us with
Man,
her
I have been
geekness.
Francisco said it's
Spores.
okay. She's immune. Um,
Agreed.
Sharon said my thought was this better not be an effing dream sequence.
Well,
Which is fair.
flash. Everybody likes a flashback.
It's a flashback. It's not a dream
And then
sequence.
Francisco said I also said weeks ago that Pedro still has a few episodes on his contract.
Yeah,
Who
you did.
knows?
First
Maybe he will get
right.
out of his grave and play golf with Abby.
Oh, that's the other thing I wanted. But go ahead. There's one more.
Go ahead, Dave.
There's another one. Joel, you're so gonna regret quassing me. What am I, a putty cat?
I don't know.
Actually, let's read that in Putty Cat. Joel says, "You're gonna regret quassing me in a few minutes." Lol. Bridget didn't not like that. You could tell. Like, oh, should I laugh or should I make him look stupid? Also in that New York accent.
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Correct.
I can't reiterate this enough. I did not like that. Whatever that was, I did not like it.
My ultimate plan was to get Karina to laugh for some reason. I don't know why she keeps doing it, but I'll take it. The one thing I wanted to mention was it was clear from a mashup, either from I think it was the Last of Us account, Last of Us the game account, obviously, it was at the Last of Us on Twitter, and they had compared Abby from the show killing Joel to Ellie from the show killing Nora, and how it was quite almost frame by frame, shot by shot perfect. Obviously different setting, obviously different props, but it was Abby reaching back and getting the golf club and bringing it forward, and it was similar shot boarding of the scene. I love that. What's interesting about that is Ellie in the show was not awake or there to see the initial parts of Joel's attack, the attack on Joel. So I find it interesting to see that mirror. Okay, because again, if what Dina's saying is true in this episode, there's going to be a point at which Dina is right, and it's going to be like it can go either way. We can leave or go. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to fault you. We can leave. We can continue with this mission, whatever it is. But if it was me, I would die. I would die finding my mother's killer, had I not killed him. And so there's the obvious. Obviously, you kill me, you kill my father, I kill your father. Now I kill all your friends. Now I kill all your friends. WLF is going to Jackson. They're going to kill all of them. They're going to kill all the Seraphites and WLF. It can go on forever. But I love that there's a mirror here for what Ellie does and what Abby does, and how it's shot perfect almost.
I think that that's very true of the game in general, that Ellie is mirroring many things that Abby has done or experienced without even realizing it. Because in the game, she doesn't see the beginning of Joel's torture and everything else. I mean, it happens very similarly where she arrives after it's already basically over with. So, excuse me.
No.
That's
Okay.
It's one of those things that you as the player or as the viewer are going to notice, that this character doesn't realize how closely they're following in Abby's footsteps, this person that they perceive as an enemy and the worst person possible, and she's literally doing exactly the same thing that Abby did. And the same thing, ultimately, that just repeating itself over and over again, And it's like you want to tell the characters, like, you're caught in a cycle and you have no way to breaking it, because you can just watch it happen, because in the moment you feel justified in going after Nora, and then by the end of it, playing the game as an experience versus watching it happen always are going to feel different. And in game, you're hitting the button every time Ellie strikes Nora, and it's so intense, and you can't not do it. You have to do it, otherwise the game just stalls out and stops right there. You to move the story forward, you have to do this. So you don't have agency over the character in that moment. She's made her decision, and you're being forced to act it out, and it's difficult sometimes.
That's
Like I
great to
said,
know for people who haven't played the games.
yeah, it's she hesitates for a moment, and then it waits for your button input before she starts hitting Nora, and every time she does, you're hitting the button every time. So
Could
it's
you
like,
imagine
oh,
Ellie
gosh.
looking back at you going, hit the button, this is how it
Yeah,
went.
come on. This is how it goes.
You got me here. You killed all those people along the way. Come on, man.
Right.
TikTok,
Right. You're telling me you didn't set up all those blast traps and shoot people with shotgun? I'm pretty sure you did. So
Yeah, to Sharon's
let's
point,
go.
someone has to break the cycle. It's not going to be you, player, in the game at least.
Unfortunately, you don't get the choice.
If you guys don't mind, I want to leave off with the following before we do the things. It's Present Tense by Pearl Jam, and I rarely recite lyrics on the show because it's super boring, but the reason why I like it is you'll see in a second. So the song is, do you see the way the tree bends? Does it inspire? Leaning out to catch the sun rays, a lesson to be applied. Are you getting something out of this all-encompassing trip? Meaning the present. Here, be in the moment. You can spend your time alone redigesting past regrets. Or you can come to terms and realize you're the only one who can't forgive yourself. Makes much more sense to live in the present tense. Have you ideas on how this life ends? Check your hands and study the lines. Have you the belief that the road ahead ascends off to the light? Or not? Seems that needlessly it's getting harder to find an approach and a way to live. Are we getting something out of this all-encompassing trip? You can spend your time alone redigesting past regrets, Joel. Or you can come to terms and realize you're the only one that cannot forgive yourself. Makes much more sense to live in the present tense. How apt. How apt. So, if you like what you've heard, everybody, and sometimes you like hearing lyrics to songs and how appropriate they are in the moment, head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and a... Can't say mushroom. Too easy. And a... Charity, quick, give me something. What is a prop from this show? Well, let's use guitar. We have not said it once yet. So yeah, 5 stars and a guitar is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like, even if it's lyrics. Just remember to tell us after every single episode. It really does count. Thanks to Kim Rowley for leaving that last review. It really, really was nice to hear. And it's a great way to communicate. You can leave comments on both Spotify and YouTube. Feedback is super important because we can look at analytics and we can say, oh, I guess we got a view count, I guess. But sometimes when we're doing something that maybe doesn't work, how are we going to know if you don't tell us? Maybe if we're doing something that works, or maybe we make you feel a certain way, maybe we made you think a certain thing that you hadn't thought before. It's the goal of this podcast to get you to think of things differently or from a different point of view, which helps you either appreciate your own take or give you a new take that maybe you can latch onto and appreciate something more, because it's all about the love. It's all the different ways in which we love a thing that we can get together on and talk about more. And if you really like that, you can tip us on stream. Or after this episode in the replay, it really helps us know that we're on the right track, and it helps grow this podcast. Gets us out.
Please.
Yeah, gets us out to conventions. You get the unedited episode recordings for our closed sessions, as well as my pre-squawk insights for 30 days. You'll get forever access to our Discord when you tip. And you can go take it a little further. For as little as $4 a month, you can join a membership tier. If you happen to join the Whisperers, Survivors, and Great M tier, you will get a free classic t-shirt upon signing up. Join the Survivors and Great M tier. You can show up in these episode breakdowns alongside us, telling your thoughts with us. And if you happen to join the Great M tier, You can join the core. You'll have access to the core channel where we have closed discussions about the things maybe we could cover. Maybe we should go here at this convention. Maybe we should apply for press at some other press event that is coming up that maybe we should get a take on. You'll be involved in those conversations. You'll tell us how we can get the money for that or what we could be doing differently on this podcast. Feedback, and you'll have that, earn that right to tell us what to do. And you know what? I ain't going to say boo. I'll take everything you can get. But you could do all that for free in the comments. You could do all that for free in the ratethispodcast.com/squawking Just a little advice. Sometimes liking a post means everything. Because when you do that, the algorithm favors it. Other people get to see it. Other people you follow get to see it. Sharing it's fine. You're not doing that. Liking, it's a message. I've been your host, David Cameo, and I like you. And I was joined by
Sharon, aka Blazy Gardner,
well,
in
I
the
guess she's
chat.
in the chat. It's true.
Bridget, you can find me at ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETR.
And Karina.
I was doing
Oh my
that when I was
gosh.
muting too.
Wow. Okay. Karina, on Instagram, it's CARINAE_D and Etta Karina Art everywhere else.
Yeah, check out her art, everybody. It's been a while since we pumped out her art, and she's been pumping out art like crazy, man. Let's
She
pimp
has.
Karina out. She's not just a
Yay.
geek; she's really talented. So check out at
Thanks.
CARINAE_D on Instagram. You get to everything from there, mother
That's
effer.
right.
What are you doing?
Bro, I'm horns up. Take care,
Who
everybody.
are you?
We'll see you in the next one, and I'm going to leave awkwardly right now and see you
Bye.
later.
He just
Bye.
walks away like this.
Can't wait for the next episode. And hey, join us in the studio as we talk about Dead City on Sunday. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to know about that is if you follow our Ko-fi and Patreon pages. You'll get notifications when our schedule updates. And that'll be that. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks,
Okay,
Francisco.
love you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody who's on the stream. Neo's the one, and Rob Matthews, and we love you, and good night.
And yeah.